Some love stories never fade away. They live quietly in the corners of our hearts, waiting for the right time to return. Years ago, the world fell in love with a tale of chance meetings, broken walls, and an unlikely romance. Now, that story whispers again. Not as a repeat, not as a memory, but as a second chance. Because sometimes the greatest chapters are not the first ones we live, but the ones we never expected to write. Some love stories never fade away. They live quietly in the corners of our hearts, waiting for the right time to return. Years ago, the world fell in love with a tale of chance meetings, broken walls, and an unlikely romance. Now, that story whispers again. Not as a repeat, not as a memory, but as a second chance. Because sometimes the greatest chapters are not the first ones we live, but the ones we never expected to write. It has been decades since we first saw Vivian and Edward walk into each other's lives, rewriting what love could look like between two very different worlds. She was a woman chasing survival, full of spark and spirit, while he was a man buried in business and rules, certain that life was only about power and control. Together, they created a story that made people laugh, cry, and believe in magic again. That was their first story, their beginning. But time changes everything. The bright lights of Beverly Hills dim. People grow, people drift, and even the strongest connections can be tested by distance, pride, and the weight of years. Now imagine this. Edward, older but not untouched by time, carries the same intensity in his eyes, yet his world feels colder. Success has followed him, but so has loneliness. Vivian, still carrying the fire that once turned a man's life upside down, has learned to stand taller, stronger, and wiser. Their lives have not stood still. They have faced heartbreak, laughter, new dreams, and new mistakes. But no matter where they went, that 1 week in Beverly Hills never truly left them. It became a memory that shaped them, a memory that could never be erased. This is not the story of a perfect love that lasted without effort. This is not the tale of an easy road. This is the story of two people who once found each other in the most unexpected way, lost what they had, and now, after all these years, are given a second chance. A chance that feels fragile. A chance that comes with old scars. A chance that asks the hardest question of all. Can love be stronger the second time? Life is never as simple as a fairy tale. Time does not stand still, and even the strongest memories eventually become shadows. Edward built a world of walls around himself. His name still opens doors. His success still turns heads. But the man behind the tailored suit is not the same one who once dared to step into the unknown for love. He has faced betrayals in boardrooms, seen friendships fall apart under pressure, and spent years chasing numbers that only left him emptier. The charm remains, the power is intact, but his heart has grown quieter. It is as if he has forgotten how to feel the way he once did. Back when Vivian showed him how laughter could change the air in a room. How kindness could be more powerful than money, and how love could make a man brave. Vivian's journey has been different, but no less heavy. She was once a woman who thought the world would never give her a real chance. She fought for respect, for independence, for her voice to be heard. And she won. Not in a loud or glamorous way, but in the way real strength often shows itself: steady, patient, unshakable. She built a life where she no longer needed saving, where her choices belonged to her, and where she could stand without apology. But inside, she carries the quiet ache of unfinished stories. She wonders sometimes about the man who once looked at her as if she was the only person alive. She wonders if it was foolish to let him go, or wise to protect herself from the kind of love that can hurt as deeply as it heals. When their worlds cross again, it is not with the sweetness of old memories. It is awkward. It is fragile. Years have placed distance between them, not just in time, but in the people they have become. He is cautious, holding back words he once might have spoken freely. She is guarded, unwilling to step into the same mistakes that once left her broken. They recognize each other, but they also recognize the weight of time. The silence between them speaks louder than any greeting could, and yet, beneath that silence, something stirs. It is not the same fiery spark of youth, but a deeper pull, one that carries the weight of everything they have lived through. It is not just attraction, not just longing. It is the recognition of a soul once touched and never forgotten. They both know it instantly, though neither dares to admit it. Because second chances are dangerous. They require vulnerability. They demand forgiveness. They ask for courage when it is easier to walk away. In this story, the city of Beverly Hills is no longer the glittering stage of youth and discovery. It becomes a reminder of who they were, of what they lost, and of what still lingers. Every corner carries echoes of the past. The hotel lobby, the sidewalk, the jewelry store, the places where laughter once filled the air. But this time, it is not about escaping the world together. This time, it is about facing the world as it is, scarred and complicated, and deciding if love can still live inside it. The beauty of their reunion lies not in pretending the years never happened, but in accepting that they did. The tears, the failures, the victories, the loneliness, all of it shaped them. And now all of it stands between them. To find each other again, they will have to strip away pride, confront old wounds, and let go of the fear that kept them apart. Because love, real love, is not about repeating the past. It is about rewriting the future, even when the pages seem too heavy to turn. Love is never reborn without friction. When Vivian and Edward find themselves drawn together again, it is not the fairy tale people once believed in. It is messy. It is complicated. It is layered with the ghosts of choices they made long ago. For Edward, every glance at her reminds him of the man he used to be, a man who dared to reach beyond the world of deals and deadlines. But that reminder cuts deep, because he knows he let her slip away. And in the silence of nights alone, he has often wondered if his pride, his obsession with control, cost him the only true happiness he ever knew. For Vivian, seeing Edward again stirs emotions she thought she had buried. The charm, the intensity, the way he looks at her, it is all still there, but so is the memory of heartbreak. She remembers the moments when she felt small, when she wondered if she truly belonged in his world, or if she was only ever a passing chapter in his story. That fear has not vanished, and now it wrestles with the undeniable pull of his presence. She is stronger now, wiser now. But even the strongest heart can tremble when faced with a love that once shook the very foundation of her life. The storm builds not from the joy of reunion, but from the cracks left unhealed. Edward, still a man of power, struggles to show vulnerability. He hides behind sharp words and careful control, afraid that if he reveals how much he has missed her, he will seem weak. Vivian, unwilling to let herself fall blindly again, demands truth, demands proof, demands more than pretty promises. The tension between them is electric, charged with both desire and resentment. Each word spoken feels like a step toward closeness, but also a step toward breaking apart. And as they attempt to rebuild, the outside world does not stay silent. Old friends, curious strangers, and even the city itself seem to watch them. Edward's world of business whispers of scandal. How could a man of his standing dare to reopen a story that so many once questioned? Vivian's circle, too, wonders if she is walking back into a fire that once burned her. Jealousy creeps in like an uninvited guest, not from new lovers but from the simple fear that history will repeat itself. And in their eyes, in their silence, that fear becomes almost unbearable. Yet, amidst the storms, there are moments that break through. A shared laugh over something trivial, the kind of laugh that only two people with history can understand. A quiet evening walk where words are not needed because the air between them carries everything unspoken. A fleeting touch of hands that reminds them of what it felt like to belong to each other. These moments are fragile, but they are proof that love still lingers, even if it is buried beneath years of pain. Still, the storm rages. Vivian questions whether Edward can ever truly change. Edward wonders if Vivian can ever forgive him, or if the distance between their worlds is too wide to close. Arguments rise, not just about the past, but about the future. Can they live side by side when their lives have been built so differently? Can trust grow again when doubt has already poisoned the soil? Can love survive when both are afraid to give their hearts fully? In the heart of this chaos, something becomes clear. Second chances are not gifts. They are battles. They require more courage than first loves because they come with scars, with fears, with memories of what went wrong. And as Edward and Vivian stand in the eye of this storm, they must choose to walk away forever or to fight for something that may just be stronger than it ever was before. Every storm must eventually pass, though it often leaves behind broken branches and scattered pieces. For Edward and Vivian, the storm of their reunion is not the end, but the beginning of something truer. They have fought, they have bled through their words, they have faced the ache of old wounds. And now, standing at the edge of what could be forever, they must decide whether to build again or finally let go. Edward has always been a man of power, but true power has never been about boardrooms or contracts. It lies in the ability to be vulnerable. And in this moment, stripped of pride, stripped of excuses, he finally allows himself to speak the words he once kept locked away. He admits his fear, his regret, the loneliness that followed him for years. He confesses that success without her has tasted hollow, that he has carried the memory of her in every quiet corner of his life. For the first time, Edward is not the businessman, not the untouchable figure. He is simply a man who loves. Terrified of losing that love again, Vivian listens, her heart trembling under the weight of his honesty. She is not the same woman he once met. She is stronger, fiercer, unwilling to be treated as less than what she deserves. But strength does not mean closing doors forever. She realizes that forgiveness is not weakness, it is courage. It is the choice to see a person not for who they were, but for who they are willing to become. She remembers the laughter, the tenderness, the way he once looked at her as if she were magic. And she sees that look again, not painted by youth but carved by time, deeper and more real than ever before. Their reunion is not marked by grand gestures or lavish promises. It is not about limousines or penthouse views. Instead, it is found in the quiet, in the simple act of holding hands, of standing still and realizing that after all the years, all the mistakes, and all the doubts, they are still here, together. And perhaps that is enough. Because love, real love, is not about perfection. It is about persistence, about choosing each other again and again, even when the world feels heavy, even when fear whispers louder than hope. Beverly Hills is no longer the backdrop of a glittering fantasy. It is now the canvas of a love that has matured. The city lights shine, but they no longer blind, they guide. The familiar streets, once filled with the spark of youth, now carry the grace of second chances. And as Edward and Vivian walk side by side, their steps no longer uncertain, their story no longer unfinished, we realize that this was never about rewriting the past. It was about writing a new chapter, one born from scars, from lessons, from a deeper kind of love. This is their second chance. Not to erase what came before, but to honor it. Not to pretend the years never happened, but to embrace them. Because sometimes love does not arrive wrapped in perfect timing. Sometimes it waits, sometimes it struggles, sometimes it disappears, only to return when hearts are ready. And when it does, it is not fragile, it is not fleeting. It is unbreakable. So the tale of Vivian and Edward does not end in regret, nor in the shadows of what was lost. It rises, quietly but powerfully, in the glow of what has been found again. A love once tested, a love once broken, now reborn. And this time, it will not be a story told with wide-eyed wonder. It will be a story told with wisdom, with strength, with the certainty that the greatest kind of magic is not in first love, but in the courage to love once more.